Hello, welcome to another episode of Ultimate Jeep Wrangler. Mercon 5 automatic transmission fluid. So, got a 2004 Jeep Wrangler. It's got a little bit of a tick. Decided to try something a little different. I threw some automatic transmission fluid in there this morning, let it get up to operating temperature. I'm going to change the oil later on today. But before that, I'm going to take this valve cover off. So let me go ahead and get started on that, and I'll fill you guys in. So first thing that we'll have to do is we'll have to look and see everything we'll have to take off. So first thing we know, we're going to have to take this PCV valve off to get the valve cover off. We'll have to take these off, the linkage for the throttle body. We'll have to take the air intake tube off. And we'll have to find the right size for the bolts. These guys are a 11. It's a 11 millimeter. One back here too. Those are an 11 millimeter, and they're spread all the way out. And there's one in the back I may have a little trouble with. It's a probably going to require a swivel, so we'll see how well that goes. But I'm going to go ahead and start taking these bolts out, getting everything ready. So we'll go ahead and disconnect this hose. And once it's loose, it should just pull. Gosh. So, look at that. Oil down in there. I have to pull that guy off and clean him real good. There may also be a lot of buildup from the PCV hose. So let's take this guy off. Right, there's that. There's the hose. Don't see too much down there. A little bit of oil residue. Let me clean that guy out before we proceed. And I'll take this hose off. Looks okay. May just leave that guy on there. Whew, a little dirty. Okay. Alright, so there's another hose. One down. Up here. Let's see. May have to put this down. Here's a closer look at the throttle body. And in there, it's caked with oil, apparently. So I might pull him off and clean him up really good. So to take the throttle linkage off, you just take this bolt out, which I've already taken out, and then this one right there. Take this guy out. And should just be able to pull the bracket right off. It's a little small bolt. The valve cover was a little hard to get off. Had to lift it up from the front. Had to take the bracket, the clip loose. As you can see, it's just sitting there. Take it loose there. Had to take this bracket loose, get the nut off, pull it up. That way the front of the valve cover would come up. And then, once the valve cover was up, you know, sitting up about this high, then I was able to pull it towards the passenger side of the car, turn it left and pull up on the back. As you can see, it hit this rocker arm right there. Got a bunch of grease on it, but really need to look in here and see if there's any signs of wear and see if there's anything that needs to be replaced. There's a ticking noise, and see if I can see what that is. There's no real good signs of any wear anywhere. Wear anywhere. But you can take a look at all the rocker arms. And you can just see right down in the valleys. So the question I had before I did this was, could you pull a lifter out? And the answer to that is, you cannot fit a lifter through that little tiny push rod hole. So, also, doesn't look like there's any bent push rods or anything like that. So, my issue may actually just be a probably a lifter, unfortunately. So, all right, hold on, we'll start the rest. So the next part is going to be cleanup of the valve cover. As you can see, there's lots of dirt and mud and grease and oil in the valve cover. So I'm going to take some cleaner here, just spray right along everything. We'll see how good this stuff does. And I'm just going to let it sit. So we'll see what we can get into. While we're waiting on the valve cover to soak inside and out, go ahead and pull the existing valve cover gasket off and look for any signs of wear and tear. Just, come on, you crazy thing. Get it from over there. This that harness is a pain. So you can see on the back side, that was probably where it was leaking. There's a lot of caked up oil. So it's probably the original. Probably check that number right there. See if it is. So once you've cleaned up the mating surface on the head where the valve cover sits, make sure that you put the valve cover up just like it's supposed to. This one doesn't have bolt holes that go through the gasket. They sit around it, and the valve cover just squeezes it. They do have special holes though, but you can see here that they're all lined up. Gotta get that one in, that one in, and then in the back you'll have a little place right there, that little square. Also in the front on the same side you'll have that little square there as well. Okay, let's put that valve cover on after we've cleaned up the mating surface. Okay, so one thing I forgot to do was find these little grommets. And they're in the bag with the kit. And basically, you got these metal pieces. And they look like they go all the way through, but they just come off like that. And then the rubber will have to be pried out just like that. And then you'll replace it with the new one. So let me go through and do that on all of those. I swear I think they had the valve cover in mind when they made this bumper. Pretty easy to put your valve cover right there to do this work. Another thing I'd like to point out is whenever you've got the metal grommets off, gives you a good chance to clean up a lot of the kicked up oil and dirt. If you want to. You know, it's a Jeep, it's not exactly a show car, but I like to at least give it a little rough clean. The other thing is there's the front of the engine. You can see there's one infamous bolt. This one is pretty easy to get to. That one's behind the wiring harness. So they always say it's at the back, but nobody says, you know, is it in the middle? Is it over here? It's right there. And there's another bolt that sits right about here, right, probably where that rubs. Looks like it's connected, but it's actually a stud for the wiring harness. There's the bolt. Here's the stud. You can kind of see it back there. With my finger. Let's see here. There. That's the stud. Right there where my pinky's pointing. That's it. It does not go on the valve cover. That looks like the bolt, but it actually just is a stud for the wiring harness.